You see, pioneers, when you start anything and you start out on a path to anywhere in life, whether it be to learn something new or to create a business, to become more financially free or more in shape, the very first thought process and the first step and the very first minute of the very first day, you may be excited, feeling like you're about to kick some ass, until the next day comes and you don't feel so excited and you're in a moment where you're feeling like, damn, this is a little bit tougher, so I gotta take another step. Then I finally get to that third day and I'm like, this is even harder than I thought. You see, what then happens is the enthusiasm, it disappears. The beginning of the process, it starts to fade away. You see, you've got a lot to offer though, and the fact that you're still here means that your business is not through yet. You've got more work to do. You see, people don't understand what it is they're doing in life. They operate within the context of the visions that they have of themselves. No matter how big the dream is, we gotta always take small steps, changing what is possible for us to change, and never staying stagnant. You and only you are the subject that is gonna impact your life, the burning desire within inside your mind. I'm talking about commitments that say, I'm gonna stay true to me and what I said I was gonna do, no matter what mood I'm in. Because we all know character is not something we inherit. It's something we wake up every single day fighting to build. Can I get a hello? Never, ever give up. You cannot let someone get you down. You can't let the critics or the naysayers or the obstacles get in the way of your dreams. You've got to ask yourself, what is your why? What motivates me? What pushes me? What defines me? And if that meaning is internal, then nobody else has a say-so. Nobody else has to reward you. If you're already self-motivated and you're already rewarding yourself, you can have it, you can be it, you can do it. It's necessary that we take responsibility and make it happen and not give up. That we don't let any disappointment or defeat keep us down. We gotta keep on keeping on and decide that we are gonna reach that light at the end of the tunnel. We can't give up. See, many people are gonna give up on you, but are you gonna give up on them? Many people have given up on me, but I will never, ever give up on them. You gotta get to the point to where it hurts real bad. The point to where you can't take it no more. And then dig deeper, grind a little bit harder. Opportunities will start happening and doors will start opening, but what you cannot do is quit during the process while you're trying to get to your outcome. The earlier you get in the game and you get on track of who you truly are and what you were meant to truly do, that's when opportunities are going to come to you. A better life is going to come to you, but you have to make that happen. You see, what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality one day. And what you repeatedly do, it gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset, it becomes an unconscious action and an unconscious activity. And I've always just wanted mine to be guideful, helpful, and nurturing to others. And isn't it amazing to see on Saturday, Saturn Day, that $22,300 Bitcoin tying us back into our skull and bones pals that we've been making connections to all year. No one else making connections like this. Out here doing the work, we know this has been a very important number. We'll have to see how this moves taking place. We have to see how everything plays out moving forward and what takes place. Right now we're on the weekly time frame retesting this 200 simple weekly moving average that we have failed to hold support above right now, and it's just hanging out right there at 22,300. So not surprising. But the first step we need to all take before anybody in the world believes in us here at the Daily Candle Close News is, well, we got to believe in ourselves, or we can never believe in anyone else that's out here to help us and guide us and nurture us with the thoughts and the processes and the crafts and skills that they've built. It's like I said, many people have lately given up on me, but I will never ever give up on my pioneers. You see, I don't get distracted from plan A. I know there's still 25 other letters in the alphabet if plan A falls and it fails. I want to represent possibilities and ideas for others that you really can make what you want in life. Create your own reality and your own outcome. One of my favorite books by Paulo Coelho in life has been The Alchemist, and reading that, I become that alchemist. I believe that I could be that alchemist, and I can create my own reality and paradigm, and I can change my physical reality in life and create whatever I wanted to create. But you see, I ran into pain along the way. And pain ain't my enemy. It's not my servant. It's just something that told me that, hey, there's a problem here and I need to get it fixed. I need to drag it out of the dark and deal with it. Purge my shadow so I can realign my moral compass. I had to decide that enough was enough. And, I had to start with a new direction from leading a multitude of people in my life towards hell to leading a multitude of people in my life towards heaven and ascension, and getting in line with their higher self and their higher purpose. You see, I had to better my life so that I can try and guide others, and that's my whole goal here. But if we sit here in complacency and in stagnation and do nothing, it will kill us. If we don't strive to be better each and every day, we'll fail. And I promise you that. There's a greater power of making a choice that it really has on our life. And not making a choice is making a choice. Remember that. You see, you want to be able to affect your outcome by building a process and making a choice to do the work and the dedication and decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be along the way. From that point on, you've got to do the work, and the universe and everything, every obstacle, it'll get out of your way as you do the work. But you've got to stay dedicated and grinding. And that's been my whole purpose and skill here. It's because nothing's going to play out the way we want it to. People want to master a ton of things and be a jack of all trades, but not master one craft and skill: themselves. Most people focus on things that don't matter. Nonsense. They know more about Kim and Kardashian or celebrities going into rehab or who's having the next baby, whatever, instead of knowing who they are. And my message right now today is, know thyself, pioneers. So give up on me if you'd like to, but I'm never going to give up on you. Your brain's divided up into two halves, pioneers, and each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side, powering your thought process, that build your beliefs, that get programmed into your reticular activating system, that end up giving you the commitment and conviction of who you truly are. So if you wake up saying, man, I don't feel who I am today, feeling negative, well, then you're going to feel negative, and you're going to be in sorrow and a sad mindset and a piss poor attitude. But if you wake up saying, hey, I'm having a good day, and you create that good day and become the alchemist of your own reality, well, then can't nothing in the world stop you. So today is going to be a good day, Pioneers. As we get ready to, kick off another episode of the Daily Candle Close News, as we watch the weekends, kind of bringing some, daily redness to the markets. It's time to manufacture our thoughts and processes and change the way we think. Because everybody else is stuck, lost, not knowing what's going on. But we here, Pioneers, on the Daily Candle Close News, we stay true to who we are. And we know what's going on. We know the game, so we can't be played. Many of us say we want to change, but some of us are unwilling to pay the price to change. But the Pioneers, they are dedicated to who they are, and they know what's going on. They know that right now on the daily time frame, we're just back testing our previous breakout range on July 7th, 8th of $22,300. Not surprising that we sold off for a few days before seeing this rally that we've seen over the last several days as we get ready to head into our next new moon. In one of my recent videos, I was able to come out and share in some of my work how the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd would be very important leading into this time period to pay attention to. And it's just amazing to watch this time period play out exactly how we expected it to. Bringing a euphoric price rally out of some very oversold moments that we have witnessed, that we've talked about in several different videos, whether that was on the weekly time frame or the daily time frame. We know that there is going to be a bounce when there's an oversold price action time period in these markets. And right now, if we can rehold this 22,300 and essentially move back on up to that 24,000 that we previously reached, it's going to be important to see what happens then moving forward. Because again, another range that we can potentially reach on up to is roughly around this 28 to 30K range before we see a potential bull trap in these markets. Anything can happen, and we can get that now and see this come on back down to the bottom side of this very respected trend line for the last year and a half. But we've been selling off for 8 months, and a respected bounce in the markets we knew was coming. So we'll have to continue to pay attention to how some very possible scripted moments might play out as we continue to transition into the new moon on July 28th. We can even see this time period of bullish energy transition us past July 28th into early August before we see this potential pullback come into the markets as we get ready to transition into the next full moon of August around the 11th on Harp's birthday. Going to be a very important time period that we'll be discussing moving forward. But it's amazing to continue to watch these lunar cycles play out perfectly, as we transitioned out of our full moon on July 13th. We've seen nothing but euphoric, bullish price action leading all the way up past our parallel channel and bull flag that we've had drawn here. Never really been able to gain support and hold support above that, but we're going to break down these time periods and these days to show you why it's so important. As soon as we broke up to that 24,000 high, we then came all the way straight back down on the 2-hour time frame to 22,300 before getting a bounce. Ultimately, this giving us a potential corrective wave pattern after a, possible, what we could say was a Elliott wave 1, 2, 3 pattern playing out before we saw our 5 wave right here, ultimately showing us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave inside that 5 wave. So very bullish. We know an impulsive wave is usually followed by a corrective wave, so a possible A, B, C corrective wave pattern playing out right here before we ultimately reclaim this 22,300 range and this 22,700 range and work our way on up. We'll have to continue to see how far this C leg pushes down. Does it reach the middle of this median heart line of our parallel channel, or do we fail to hold support there and ultimately just see this wash on out even lower? Not surprising if we were to see that, but we definitely want to hold that psychological range of roughly 20,000, we'll say 20,000, or that 21.5. We know how important that support range is that we shared with all our pioneers for quite some time. So again, remarkable to watch this all play out and buy the numbers. Again, right now holding support all day on Saturday, the day of Saturn, at 22,300 is not surprising that we've just really failed to see some price action get back above that right now. Tomorrow is going to be the big day that we'll pay attention to because we know it's the weekly close. But when we go back to look at this on the daily time frame, and we look at the 19th and the 20th, some days that we recently talked about, we saw that that's when our highs were coming in before we got this respected pullback leading into the 21st and the 22nd, which we teach you here on the Daily Candle Close News is a time period every month when we tend to get a reset in the micro structure. So leading into the day, the 23rd, which is 5 days before our next new moon, we could, potentially see this start to be a corrective pattern and just a backup phase to where we start building support at this 22,300 level and continue to move on up towards the new moon. Who knows? We'll have to continue to see how this plays out. But on the 19th, we saw this price action come in. Not surprising. We know that 7/19 was a day that was 69 days leading to the end of the Shemitah, and we know Bitcoin just hit its 69K top during the Shemitah year, the 7-year sabbatical cycle. Not surprising. This was leading into a day that followed, adding up to 69 in numerology. So not surprising that we see this all take place during the zodiac sign of Cancer, which gives us the 6 and the 9 in its zodiac symbology. And we just transitioned into Leo yesterday, so very important. We know that this 69 energy was transitioning us through Cancer, and it's very and exoteric as to this volatility that was playing out into Bitcoin. Again, we were hitting microstructure highs on a date that left 69 days till Rosh Hashanah and a date that added up to 69 in numerology. Bitcoin previously hit a $69,000 top, and this was 2 days in the 2022 year before we exited out of Cancer, which gives us the 69 in zodiac symbology. So very unique that we see this play out pretty amazing and give us microstructure peaks on these days that we talked about. The next day out of this was the 21st and the 22nd that we talk about bringing a reset, a change, a recycle in the markets. So the 21st adding up to 70 is really not surprising. This was the 202nd day of the year. Not surprising. I know in one of my previous videos I said that was the 222nd day of the year, and I made a mistake there. Sorry. We know it was the 202nd if you saw that. So we know that gives us 22 in the 2022 year, the Gregorian year. This was leading into the 22nd of the month, where we tend to see a change, a reset, recycle. This day added up to 71, and we've discussed this 17 and 71 number extensively in quite a lot of our work. It also added up to 17. 7 times 1 or 1 times 7 is 7 in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. So all very and exoteric as to why we saw this take place 66 days before the end of the Shemitah, the 7-year cycle. So just again, seeing this volatility come in the markets leading into the 22nd, 23rd, where we tend to get a reset, a change, recycle in the 2022 year order out of chaos. We saw this change in price action. coming out of our recent high, which we hit $24,000. Another important note about this date, we're getting a pullback 2 months and 4 days before the end of the Shemitah in the 2022 year after we hit 24K. So it's all very unique as to why we see this play out like it did. We saw this rally start out on the 18th, of course, in the Shemitah year. We know when we type out Shemitah, it gives us 18 in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. Shemitah gives us 70, drop to 0. So it's all very unique. The 18th in other countries is the 19th in places like Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand. Let me get a drink of water. So it's very unique that we saw this start on the 18th, which is the 19th in other countries. So still technically the 19th. So when using astrology, numerology, gematria, you can get an amazing advanced outlook on how the markets are going to play out. And it's something we've been teaching here for over a year. On the 19th, when we look at that date, again, a date we prepared you for, it added up to 23. Bitcoin on the 19th hit a high of 23K. Not surprising. The next day it, hit 24. But on the 19th, it added up to 23. It hits 23K. Not surprising. Just very exo and esoteric as to why we can follow along with the things that we've been teaching here for you to advance and really, take advantage of what I think so many other people are overlooking. So following this window of energy that we talk about around the full moon or the new moon, you can simply just trade the markets by paying attention to these cycles and not have to learn technical analysis and all that nonsense. But whether or not we get a low on the full moon like we did recently, or 3 to 5 days before we start to see that bearish energy come in, not surprising, we saw that. We can just pay attention to these windows. A few days before the new moon, if it's a couple days shy, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. The whole thing is paying attention to the strategy that we're teaching and combining it with everything that we utilize here as well, with technical analysis, with knowing how to pay attention to the indicators like the RSI and the MACD, the other indicators as well. This is how we can become a powerhouse in creating the craft and skill, developing an extra fundamental base layer that a lot of people are, unaware of. But us pioneers will have access to this, and this is what will make our community strong and get through all these moments, whether it's a bear market or a bull market or whatever, because we're operating in a pioneer-based market, okay? So we've seen what previously happened, and we know moving forward, we're going to pay attention to a few more dates as well. And that's going to be obviously tomorrow, Sunday, the weekly close. Undeniable how important that's going to be. We see it's 2 months and 2 days to the end of Rosh Hashanah in the 2022 year, or the Jewish Hebrew New Year of 5782, giving us that 22 as well. So tomorrow is going to be a very important day to pay attention to. This is a day that adds up to 73 as well as 37, tying us into Zeus there, but that 73 being the 21st prime number, which ties us into Saturn, okay, giving us that 21. We know today is Saturn Day, and we're seeing a little sell-off in the markets. This is all retail selling. Tomorrow adds up to 73. 73 is the 21st prime number. We were just talking about this 69, so not surprising, okay, that we're seeing all this energy this weekend around the numbers, okay? So right now we're just right here transitioning into, this very ritualistic time period in the 7th month, okay? It's all about the 7-year cycle, right? But we just previously broke out past a high, and it's not uncommon to come back and retest these highs, and we've talked about that at the beginning of the video. So something we can consider tomorrow is a respective bounce. Not that I'm calling that and predicting that. Maybe we see a liquidated sell-off tomorrow. Who knows? But with this backup period that we've seen over the past few days, which we know is the 21st, 22nd, I'm trying to keep it very simple, utilizing the code that I'm teaching here. And this could be all that we could get to be considered before we see another leg up. Okay, so if you don't understand what I'm saying, then watch a couple of our videos and go back and rewatch this video in depth with a third eye open and pay attention to the technique and skill we're teaching here. So again, let's just go back. We get a typical 3, 4, 5 day sell-off before a leg up over the last 30 days. So, this one was a little bit longer than 5 days, but not surprising. 5 days right here before, 4 days. Another sell-off. Let's see if we get another leg up, if we can hold support right here of this very exoteric $22,300 range. So very important. So keep that in mind. But this is leading into July 25th, ultimately being 2 months and 1 day. Again, giving us that 21 coming out of Sunday, and it's Monday, the day of the moon, you guys. We get that 21 in Saturn and moon. So this is going to be a transition period into the 25th. Moon gives us that 23, tying us into Bitcoin, giving us that same 23. So I'm definitely paying attention to Monday, Moon Day. So very important. We know we're going to have some energy on this day, possibly come into the markets. Energy giving us that 74 and that 21. On the 25th, we might essentially see this coming out of Sunday, okay, the day of the sun. We know Bitcoin is highly tied to the sun, but this 74 ties us into Monday, okay, a day that adds up to 74 in numerology. Not surprising. So this is going to be a very important day to watch and play. This is 3 days, watch play out. This is 3 days before our new moon on the 28th, a day that adds up to 77 in numerology. But this is going to be a whole nother conversation, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but that's tying us into the end of the Shemitah. So very important. So I'll just leave this there, and go ahead and get straight into the technical analysis for you guys. Not a whole lot to talk about since we recently came out and spoke about everything that we have. We've really spent a lot of time breaking this market down like no other, trying to make our videos the best that's out there. But we definitely want to get this over with. Let's turn off these cycles, keep it simple, you guys. The first thing we see right here is the 223 exponential moving average on the daily time frame. Boom. Right here at about 33K. I don't see us really reclaiming that right now. This is a area we definitely got to get past to this 28K. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's definitely take a look at the Bollinger Bands. We've obviously recently got rejected from the top side. Not surprising. We saw this time period that we talked about was bringing this energy in the market. We could possibly come back and retest this 21,500 where the median of our Bollinger Band is. We know what happens if we can't hold support of that. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have to hold that 1993, that 20K psychological level. Or we're going to have more to talk about if we were to see a downside move that low. We're getting pinched in between this 8 and this 55. So really quickly, we would like to see on the daily time frame, a close above this 55 simple moving average. Sorry, that was my cat, you guys. So definitely getting back above this 22,000 and the top side of this 55 at 23K. 23.2, not surprising. That's really 223, depending on how you read that. We can potentially see that being an area of importance playing out, but slowly approaching a bullish posture. We're not in one until we can get both of these above the 200, this 55 and this 8 above the 200, which is again right there at around that 33, 34K that we were just talking about. So until we break past that 28K, there's nothing to talk about above 30. So still in a bearish posture right now. Our other set of EMAs, of course, we're just holding on the daily time frame support of this 34 exponential moving average. We've got this black below. This 8 is the gray, this black is the 13, and we need to get this 13 and this 21 above the 34. We can typically go bullish when we see that. It's a little bit more advanced for some people, and if you're more interested in this, go back and watch some of my work and see how I utilize my moving averages and how I add them up in my work. Maybe if you're not actively trading, you can just learn some of these tips and tricks to view the markets moving forward. View them for setups and paper trades, so by the end of the Shemitah, you can start actively trading, or by the end of this cycle and the next bull market or bear market where it's a trader's paradise and a hodler's hell, you can use this craft and skill we're teaching here. So to see this bullish implied movement when we get the 8 and the 13 and the 21 above the 34, we then want to see these work their way above the 55. That would be bullish posture. We would like to see these just continue to round out in a bottoming structure and start to slope upwards. That's going to be very bullish. I know these are lagging indicators, but it's important to pay attention to them and the slopes and the indicating movements of these moving averages. Are they sloping upwards, or are they sloping downwards like this 89 is? We don't want to see them doing that. We want to see them stair-stepping up. So very important. Just holding support of this 21 on the daily time frame is very bullish. This 34, very bullish. So we know crypto is extremely volatile, and we can reach down and tag these and be balled up in a day. We've seen that time and time again. So when it comes to building positions and analyzing these markets, you definitely need to be ready for volatility to kick in at any minute. As fast as we fall down is as fast as we can come back up in any given moment. So structurally, as long as Bitcoin is holding these levels of 22,300 on the daily, this is going to be completely normal, tying us into, what most people are going to overlook, the brotherhood of death. Not surprising. Again, all of this is coming in, on Saturday, Saturn Day. Today's the day leaving 161 days in the year. This is the golden ratio of 5. Why are we seeing this sell-off in the markets right now on Saturday? It's all retail. So this could be all the pullback we need to continue up to the next level, and I'm pretty adamant on that. Over Sunday and Monday next week, we'll have to continue to see how the weekly plays out for Bitcoin, which is still just obviously showing bullishness, and a fact that we're in this falling wedge, we could see breakout to the upside. We talked about that. It has a 68% chance. So there's a big opportunity that we have a chance to get back up to this 28K level by early August. There's 25 right there to reclaim this 223 exponential moving average. Let's see if we do that on the 25th. Who knows? But let's just have patience for any potential movements. So what I'm looking at on these higher time frames recently is like we had a bullish engulfing. And look, this looks like a bottoming structure. Since this bi-weekly, this week is just boom, already, reached back up to the top side of this trend line. So recently we had another 5-day closure, and this is again looking like a bottoming in structure, possibly setting the first W. If we were to see this round out and then come back down and then round out, we could see this do a real weird W pattern just over time. Who knows? We need to see Bitcoin kind of slow down on the lower time frames though, because we don't want the RSI just kind of mooning up, and that's what it's been doing on the smaller time frames. It's been really trying to slow down some. We know it got really overheated there on the 2-hour time frame, and then we started seeing higher lows set, and we were setting higher highs in price at the same time. So we obviously saw a bearish divergence forming, and that's what's bringing in this downside implied price action as well. So we know that MACD as well, it's recently showed some anticipation to the downside on the 2-hour time frame. So the 14th to the 20th, we were cruising with upside momentum. Now we're starting to cruise with some downside implied momentum. How long does that last? It could be very quick, or it could be long drawn out. Who knows? But this is definitely a good sign to see these kind of indicators resetting while Bitcoin's still holding some very scripted ranges. 2020 in the 22,200 or 22,300. We know how important these ranges are in the 2022 year, or the Skull and Bones number. So, recently Ethereum has done almost everything that we've talked about, almost getting all the way up to this 17K range that I spoke about. What's that, $54, $55 off? Not surprising. This is all still very bullish. Getting this breakout and then forming a horizontal structure, ultimately setting higher lows, this is good. We can still push up to this 1700, 1800 area. We're in the Shemitah year, 18. Let's be, cautious when we get up to these areas. So, not surprising. XRP, has really just ripped and roared in a ultimate Elliott wave pattern theory again. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we talked about. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with inside this 5-way pattern. So very similar to Bitcoin when I first talked about it in that Elliott wave pattern. And then ultimately holding sideways below this 36-cent range that we talked about, just basically getting rejected from this range. So we know XRP loves to be super, super boring and sideways, and then just go pew to the upside. And when it does that, it catches people off guard. And my trading advice for XRP is build positions when this shit is boring. Because these explosions, as you can tell, just happen out of nowhere. Okay? So let's pay attention to the Bollinger Bands. And when we look at it on the daily time frame, look at how far and how long they've been just constricting sideways, and this is ultimately a potential W pattern breakout. We'll have to see how this neckline plays out. I know this is a lower low than the first low, but cryptocurrency is highly volatile, and you expect it to follow every technical analysis rule. It doesn't, okay? So heading into the next eclipses coming up in November, when ISO 20022 goes live, I expect some of these coins that have been super suppressed for 5 years, like XRP and XLM, etc., to potentially have a rally out of nowhere. So let's continue to see if we come back and back test this 34-cent median of the Bollinger Band on the daily time frame and hold a support of that moving forward. That'd be a good sign. Let's see. Okay, well, the 8 and the 13 are above the 34. We need the 21 above the 34, and we need to ultimately get those above the 55. So on the daily time frame, if we can retest these levels and reclaim them, we can get back up to that 40, 41, 51 cent for XRP real quick. We're seeing a lot of momentum to the upside, showing potential rally opportunities for XRP. And again, this is going to be euphoric and like a syringe top if the RSI was to shoot up to the 80 range. We'll have to see if it sets a higher high or a higher low, or a lower high. If this was all we get, then this is obviously going to set a lower high. But if we continue to move and rally forward, that could be very bullish for XRP on the daily time frame. So I did mention in one of my videos that I wasn't interested in Bitcoin until we saw it get above the 702 golden pocket of the Fibonacci retracement from our recent sell-off, and, until we got above and holding multiple daily closes above this 22K range. Now that we're doing that, I'm really amazed to see this. Ultimately, just digging back into our previous high that came in around July 7th and July 8th, that took us up to that 225, 22,500, the 888 range before getting sold off. We know that that's not surprising. We can get a bounce to this 888 in this golden pocket ultimately before holding it or, falling back down to this 236. And this was a perfect retest of the 236 on the full moon. And then we broke back up towards the 702. My last video was right here telling you I don't care until we break this 702, the golden pocket again for Bitcoin. And since we did that, we've just ripped and roared to the 0.1 fib range. So we want to reclaim this 1618, which is around 27K. And that's just a conversation I'm bringing up. We've been talking about this 28 range, the 30 range being very heated, and that's coming into our recent bull trap on the larger time frames that ultimately sold us down to these lows. This is the 2168, the 2.618, and this is going to be a really overheated area. So if we just continue to see this rally rip and roar to the upside, it's going to be a possibility to de-risk at this area if we're ones that have bought the dip, etc. That's going to be from our recent low on the full moon, about a 67% increase in Bitcoin alone, and you can see that possibly bring 100+% increase in some of your altcoins that you hold. So I definitely want to leave this video there. I think I've shared a lot. Definitely hope you all pay attention and you enjoyed the content we put out today. Take care. God bless. Sending you all much love. Pioneers rise. Build your fortress and build your legacy.